Dr. Zixthor's tentacles trembled as he reviewed the data for the third time. The Galactic Council's lead xenobiologist couldn't believe what the sensors had recorded during humanity's first combat trial. He had studied thousands of species across hundreds of star systems, but nothing had prepared him for this. Impossible, he muttered, his translator converting the clicks and whistles into standard galactic common. Their bodies, they weaponized themselves. The incident had occurred 3 cycles ago on Training World Sigma-7. The humans, newly inducted into the Galactic Defense Initiative, were undergoing standard combat assessment alongside the Krellian shock troops, beings who had dominated the military hierarchy for centuries with their armored exoskeletons and natural aggression. Captain Sarah Chen had led the human squad. Zixthor replayed the footage again. The simulation had begun routinely enough, a surprise attack scenario designed to test reflexes and tactical thinking. The holographic enemy appeared, weapons blazing. The Krellians had responded with their typical efficiency, taking cover and returning fire with practiced precision. But the humans had transformed. Within seconds of threat detection, their bodies had flooded with a cocktail of naturally produced chemicals. Zixthor's instruments had gone wild, detecting massive spikes in cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, and dozens of other compounds. Their heart rates had doubled, sometimes tripled. Blood flow redirected from non-essential systems to muscles. Their pupils dilated, sharpening focus. Pain receptors dulled. They had become biological war machines. Captain Chen had moved with impossible speed, her reaction time cut in half. She'd lifted a 200-pound barrier with her bare hands, something the baseline reading said should have been beyond her capability. Another soldier, Private Marcus Webb, had taken a training round to the shoulder that should have incapacitated him. Instead, he'd barely flinched, continuing to fight for another full minute before even acknowledging the injury. The Krellians had won the exercise, but barely, and they were bred for war. Council member Zixthor? The voice startled him from his analysis. Ambassador Tarek, the human diplomatic liaison, stood in the doorway. The creature was small by galactic standards, barely reaching Zixthor's mid-torso. Fragile-looking. Deceptive. Ambassador. I was just reviewing your species' combat assessment. Tarek smiled. That peculiar showing of teeth that humans use to indicate friendliness, though to most species it resembled a threat display. I heard it caused quite a stir. Is there a problem? Problem? Zixthor's tentacles coiled anxiously. Your people are extraordinary and terrifying. When threatened, your bodies produce what we would classify as combat stimulants, extremely potent ones. You essentially become drugged super soldiers within seconds. The ambassador nodded calmly. You mean adrenaline and the stress response? Yes, that's fairly standard for humans. We call it fight or flight. Standard? Zixthor's voice rose an octave. Ambassador, do you understand what this means? Most species require technological enhancement to achieve such states. Stimulant injections, neural modifications, genetic tampering. Your species does this naturally, automatically. Tarek settled into a chair, gesturing for Zixthor to continue. In the Krellian War Academy, elite soldiers undergo years of training and chemical conditioning to achieve similar performance boosts. Your Private Webb displayed comparable capabilities in his first combat scenario, with no training specific to combat enhancement. His body simply did it. We evolved on a dangerous world, Doctor, Tarek explained. For millions of years, humans faced predators much larger and stronger than ourselves. Those who couldn't generate these responses quickly enough didn't survive to pass on their genes. It became hardwired into us. Zixthor pulled up more data. It's not just the chemical production. Your pain tolerance increases dramatically. Your blood clots faster. Your immune system temporarily supercharges. You even gain access to strength reserves normally locked away by your nervous system, what you call hysterical strength. I have documented cases of human mothers lifting vehicles off their children. The human body protects itself, Tarek said simply. At significant cost, Zixthor countered. The aftermath readings show elevated cortisol for days. Muscle damage. Immune suppression after the initial boost, exhaustion. Your species trades future, well-being for immediate survival. Better to survive now and deal with the consequences later than to die right now, the ambassador replied. That's the logic evolution taught us. Zixthor dimmed his office lights, a sign of deep thought among his people. The council is divided. Some members see humanity as a tremendous asset, natural warriors who could help defend against the devourers when they inevitably return. Others see you as dangerous, unpredictable, a species that becomes altered, drugged essentially under stress, cannot be fully trusted in delicate situations. And what do you think, Doctor? The xenobiologist was quiet for a long moment. I think, he finally said, that humanity survived and thrived on a death world that would have driven most species extinct. I think your bodies are marvels of adaptive engineering. And I think the galaxy is fortunate that you evolved diplomacy alongside your combat drugs. Tarek laughed. Another unsettling human behavior. We like to think we're more than just our fear response, though I'll admit it's gotten us out of some tough spots. The Council will vote tomorrow on humanity's full admission to the Defense Initiative, Zixthor said. They'll be reading my report. What should I tell them? The ambassador stood, straightening his formal robes. Tell them the truth, Doctor. Yes, humans are dangerous when threatened. Yes, we become something different in combat, faster, stronger, more aggressive. But also tell them this. We're dangerous because we were threatened for millions of years. We know what it's like to be prey. We know what it's like to be afraid. He moved toward the door, then paused. That's what makes us good allies, Doctor. We understand fear. We've lived with it in our DNA. And we've learned that the best way to deal with fear isn't to run from it. It's to flood your system with combat drugs and charge straight at it. As the ambassador left, Zixthor looked at his report one final time before submitting it to the Council. He added a single recommendation at the end. Approve humanity's admission. The galaxy may need their particular brand of controlled insanity. His tentacles steadied as he pressed send. After all, when the devourers returned, and they would return, the Council would need soldiers who could weaponize their own terror. They would need humans,